Welcome back to the Yellow Logs. Most people don't even make it this far, their minds not being able to handle such heresy spoken to them, yet you, the challenge, met. And so I welcome you back to another log of the Yellow Logs. Today's log comes from the first-person perspective of a citizen of the church. They were once in charge of the Papal Expeditionary Fleet under the charge of Cardinal Dreamer. Brother Dreamer, if you are one of them. This journal was discovered off of the coast of Blackstone. It was supposed to be destroyed for heresy, but I was able to sneak away with the most important papers. It took some convincing, but eventually they believed me. And now that I have secured them, transcribed them due to the odd language that sailors use, and making sure that it is at least legible, I will now be reading it to you today. This comes from their perspective, and thank you for joining me. My name is Ruffles. I was once the chief of the Papal Seabound Expeditionary Forces. My grandmother was one of the 24 founding families of the church. She was the reason why our species is even allowed in the halls, as any race that was not involved in the founding era is forced to work in the slums for the first heresy. Despite this, and my inherited purpose to bring unison between the chosen races and to represent all of Slugkind within the church, I must admit to you, I have done a great dishonor to my family this day. Allow me to recount what happened leading up to this moment, or at least my loose recounting of it, as this is all from memory, though given what has happened to me today, I'm sure you understand that everything is pieced together. The rains had been happening more often thanks to the church sacrificing more of the serfs. I guess it's better than what happens if you die out in the fields. You become one of those golden husks, and the things they do to you when you turn into one of those. They stuff you into the claw maidens and they force you to work for the rest of time. And so, to try combating the falling leaves and the horrible call of the calling, the pattering of blood on the docks had begun. Though, it would be a disservice to say it was just the docks. Anywhere the church laid claim, blood would rain from the sky. They call it holy rain, sacramenting and truly uniting all of the kingdom under holy blood of martyrs, who died pure but sinful. Of course, the pattering on the docks had been driving me insane, and it's not even really doing anything anymore. Though that is blasphemy to admit. The golden leaves still make it through the clouds every day. More people turn into husks by the minute. It's become an uphill battle. We are burning through resources, and it doesn't help that on the horizon there's been the faint glowing glow of yellow. I believe it was one of the Whispering Brothers that told me that it had come from the Rubicon. I believed them, of course. I had no reason not to. The sailors in the tavern would even tell such, and that any papal ship that crossed the yellow waters would rot. The crew would become plagued and shortly would lead to their death. But I am no fearful woman. For thousands of generations before the unification of our species among worlds, my family had been sailors. We dredged the sea before ships were even built. And the Cardinal knew this. He was one of the Dreamers, one of the 24 founding families. They approached me one morning, though, no, that was today. Crazy how time flies. It's night now. This morning, though, I must admit it wasn't hard to not hear them coming, giving the fanfare that usually follows the Cardinals. Not to mention his fur was so white that if you look at him directly for too long, your eyes felt like they would pop out of your sockets. The Cardinal approached my ship. I knew I was going out today, alone. Not that it frightened me much. And I knew the Cardinal would consecrate my ship, as he always did when the papal forces went out to sea. Thousands of prayers had already been written on my hull. It's not like they ruined the integrity. But today's prayer was different. Usually when they write them, they try to space them out. They try to make it where they're all legible and can resist the waves, but this one was written on top of all the others, made with red paint, which is sacrilege. Any color that wasn't white, black, or gray was forbidden, and most people dye their skin and fur white. So the fact that this was red to begin with, it was worrisome. It read as follows: Lord, watch this fine hallowed craft, as it crosses the line of which is Yellow's path. Hold their breath and praise their luck as they cross the Rubicon of plague, death, and rot. May they find the path to port with matters not of their sort, where reasons fail and stars have bled. May they be the ones to quell where the dead shall bed. Shortly after, the priests used their incense on the deck, walking throughout my ship with their censers. It was quite tiring and a bit stressful. I always disliked people in my quarters, was more so worried of what they might accidentally find. When their embalming of my boat had been finished, the Cardinal gave me a sealed vial. It was wrapped carefully and came with a syringe. I knew to be careful with this because if I didn't, the roiling rot inside of it could melt away my very soul. It was potent enough to put down a god. I don't quite remember the rest of the morning after that. I was annoyed the priests had moved so much of my equipment to give blessings to my ship, but what can you do? I set out shortly after midday when the blood rain was scheduled to fall again. I wanted to leave as soon as possible since I couldn't stand the smell of it anymore. I remember the waves were calm around the shore, as the fishing ships began heading out for their second trips as well, but I would soon lose sight of them. The seas were a soft bellowing and lapping of waves. The gall of the gulls to try and hitch a ride annoyed me, but I pushed past it as I set my sights on the compass. The east is where the Rubicon began. Past it, no one knows. Most recountings of that sea line is just legend anyway, which is saying something given that it's only been 8 months ago since the calling began. What was the calling anyway? I asked myself this often. Heretic pilgrims would steal ships just to sail to this line, and then what? They would vanish. No wonder the church would lock their immortal bodies inside of clawmen for fuel, or even the guttermen that patrol the high spires since Reconstruction began. Of course, at the time, these are all just thoughts in the back of my mind. They were needless and inconsequential, and the seas had begun to churn. I forgot how many hours I was out at sea for. The clouds overhead made it hard to tell what time of day it was. It didn't help since the church started making them that it's caused everything to become colder, and darker too, so drab and gray. Of course, then again, color is something that is illegal in the church. Only shades of whites and blacks are allowed. They believe that colors are signs of gods. It makes me wonder why the Cardinal wears red, or at least at the time it did. The Cardinal, he's suspicious. Enough of this. I almost drifted asleep at the wheel with how boring the ride had become. But then, beneath the waves, I saw it. Deep below, a flicker. A singular moment caught in time. A flash of yellow. This flash was followed by another flash. At first I thought it was just a reflection, that petals had begun falling again, but no. They hadn't begun just yet. And before long, with every time I blinked, the sea was a vast ray of light. Beneath the waves, thousands upon thousands of fish, ancient and the like, swam. Dead coral reefs that can't exist in this environment were filled with and pumped with golden hues and yellow reflections. Even at that depth, it shouldn't have been possible, yet it was not. And yet, it was. The sea was no longer black, The entire mass pulsed like an aurora. Rays of yellow light phased through the clouds, accompanied by millions of yellow leaves falling from above. It was as sudden as I describe it, and this sudden change was shocking and nauseating. When I began slowing my boat into strange waters, there was the sound of ticking, clanking, some sort of knocking on the hull. When I blinked again, the sea was black once more. There was no yellow in the sea or in the sky. I was alone in the waves, yet I heard knocking. It was a distant sound, and my mind was already reeling. I felt that I had just been blinded by the sun, like Icarus when he found out he wasn't immortal, and the sudden dark with the knocking was driving me mad. When I looked out my window, all I could see was a field along the rocks of just nothing but papal ships, wrecked, ruined, and rotting. When I escaped to the deck to find whatever was making the noise, I had found that my deck was burning. No, withering would be better to describe it. The wood would turn black and infested with mites as it wore away like an infection. I wasn't sure what I could even do. When I rushed to grab some wood from the supply box, the wood inside had begun to fester the same. Flies, at this sea, at this time of year, as insane as it sounds, they were everywhere. I fell back against the wall of the cabin. Holding my head in my hands, I felt it was about to explode. My blood was pumping through my body at a rate that I could not describe. When I looked to the sky, something stood out to me. The color. Yellow. I saw the wraith. I swear I saw the wraith. Its eyes were so bright that I couldn't make out its face. I could see it floating seamlessly in the sky. It wore yellow robes, they looked royal, it even had pauldrons, like some sort of evil sorcerer you hear about as a pup. Its cloak didn't react to the environment around it. Even as it was windy, it didn't sway. I was told by the heretics in their pathetic pleas that the wraith was a savior, that its face was the loving embrace of a kind soul, but when I saw the light casting from its eyes like spotlights, so bright that I couldn't even make out its head, what I saw was the face of a cruel, evil god. A god filled with such hate and unforgiving malice that when it looked upon me, someone it had never met before, it despised me for my bloodline alone. In my fury, I sprung up towards it with the syringe that the cardinal had gave me. I bounded towards it, my feet stretched across the deck as I ran at it, full fury. Yet when I thought I struck the hit, pumping the rot into it, I felt a wince of pain in my arm so strong it could shatter bone. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I was looking down into the water. I was looking at my arm, impaled with the rotting syringe. I write this now many hours later. I believed my ship would sink, but it has only stayed up against the rocks. All of the ships on the rocks are papal. They're not heretics. They're not pilgrims. The Wraith chose this. It did this to me. I have lost the ability to taste, smell, and hear. My eyes are failing me. My brain is withering away inside my skull. I have lost all functions in my legs, and my right arm has fallen off with my tail. My lungs are failing me. My left eye has fallen out entirely. My skin has been tatted rot barely, clinging to a flame. A frame. I can hardly even write. My skin has been tatted, rot, barely clinging to a frame. My torso is tattered. My clothing has become a torn mess where I tried to rip myself out of my own skin. I write this to bring a message to the church, my people, and warn them of the mistakes we made. Fear the falling leaves.
Down come the leaves. Do you believe words of the gilded and gold? Down, drenched by the rain, seared by the flame, branches shall loosen their hold, guided by grace ever led, with wheels Wake up and breathe.